Hello and welcome back to school. Today is a lot of memories. I would normally be in a building today. You may be wondering, how does going back to school and grief connect together? For me, it has to do with having to come to a choice 6 years ago about leaving a job that I loved because I was no longer physically or emotionally able to do that. It wasn't an easy decision. It was a job that I loved doing for 23 years. Although, yes, there were days that definitely made me very frustrated and that type of thing. It was a job that I loved. For me, the difference between job and work, a job is something that you love doing. It makes your heart sing, you enjoy it, and the bonus is you make money. To me, work is what you do to pay the bills. The 6 years between that difficult decision and now have had a variety of twists and turns, just like Santiago and the Alchemist. First, I needed to deal with the burnout and get my health on track. And that meant pulling back a bit, getting the rest that I needed, coming to terms with the fact that I live with arthritis, coming to accept that I have stenosis. And according to my doctor, when they found that, one day I will bend forward, and that will be the last time I ever stand upright. That diagnosis came down almost over 12 years ago now, and I'm still upright. And if you've seen some of my videos about yard work, no, I don't spend my days worrying about, oh my God, is this the day? I go ahead with my life. I still do my yard work. I do it sensibly. I still clean my driveway using a shovel, so it's not something I allow to stop me. When I received the information about the arthritis and the stenosis, I continued to work for 5 more years full time. But the day came when I had to accept that I simply could not continue to do that. And so I made the decision to look into something else, partly because I had been surplused at the school where I was working at that time, which meant I would be starting out at another school. And it wasn't the first time throughout my 23-year career that come June I found out I would not have the same job come September. That's just the reality of being an educational assistant here in Ontario. So I decided that if I was going to have to start at a new school, maybe it was time to just start somewhere new entirely. So I took a year's leave of absence. I began with an aromatherapy course, and although I'm still interested in aromatherapy, I use it for myself. It wasn't where I was going in terms of a career. Then I signed up for reflexology and decided to pursue that, as that was going to work in combination with Reiki. That was part of the journey. In the mix of all of that, a month after I made the decision to leave my former job, we found out that our beautiful little Cedric had multiple myeloma, which was very scary and very heartbreaking, and I'll share her story in a later video. Thankfully, although the Ontario Veterinary College and their amazing, amazing people, between the tests and everything else that they knew about kitties with multiple myeloma, they figured that Cedric, if we were lucky, would have 8 months, even with her chemotherapy. The angels were definitely watching over Cedric. I think it helped because I gave her Reiki whenever she wanted. So our sweet girl didn't have 8 months. It turned out she had 40 months, full quality of life. Another challenge, her beautiful Cedric's beautiful daughter Ghost. We found out March 2019 she had breast cancer. And the universe is just a weird place because in February 2019 we had to say goodbye to our beautiful Morgan, who had been with us for 14 years. So we were coming to terms with that loss, and the next month we found out about Ghost breast cancer. And we were already dealing with Cedric's multiple myeloma. It was around that time that I was thinking, people say what doesn't break you makes you stronger. And the universe and I were having some pretty big battles at that time. Thankfully, with Ghost, we were doing some herbal remedies with her. She ended up having two surgeries, one in 2019, one in 2020. Unfortunately, the universe decided to be an a-hole, and we had to say goodbye to Ghost in August 2020. Then came November 2020, and we had to say goodbye to Cedric. I had sincerely hoped that that was going to be the end of it, and the universe was finally going to give us a break. Unfortunately, come March 2021, we had to say goodbye to Shadow, Panther's beautiful brother, the two ferals who we had brought in from our backyard. Sorry, but since this video is about grief, there's tears. If you've seen some of my earlier videos, you've already met Panther. You've also met Xena, both who are still thankfully with us. Xena is Cedric's other daughter, and I'll share more of their stories in the upcoming videos. To say times were dark after March 2021 would be a severe understatement. At that point, we had lost four of our beautiful fur children, three of them within an 8-month period. We were in the middle of COVID. My business was, of course, floundering because with COVID and having reflexology deemed personal care, I was closed more than I was open. So, of course, there was no ability to attract new clients or even have clients come to my home. Thankfully, my husband was still able to go to work and he was out and about. I was at home with Xena and Panther at that time. And of course, everywhere I looked, I just had memories of our children, of my job. Couldn't go to work, didn't have clients to talk to. But it is now September 2023. So I obviously made it through. It took a lot of personal work. It took support from my husband and a few of the friends that I could rely on. My fur babies a couple of months ago. Tiki joined our family. Things have turned around. I decided to give YouTube a whirl because I needed to do something with my days and I needed a reason to get out of bed each day. Whether we're mourning the loss of a human loved one, family, or friend, we're mourning the loss of one of our fur children, there's that grieving process. And people don't think of that when they leave jobs or make other changes in their life. I'm aware of it because my background is social work and psychology. So I know the stress factors and I know about self-care. It doesn't mean I always do it. In time, I came to start working through that burnout, working through that grief. Thankfully, through the Ontario Veterinary College, I had 2 sessions available to me with an amazing counselor. At that time, I was still on Facebook, which I'm not anymore. But there was an amazing pet loss support group and people who were not only going through their own losses, but people who had been through those losses and understood the pain and moving through that grief. So I have to say, although I'm no longer on Facebook, I am immensely grateful to the incredible moderators of the pet loss support group who were there. And there's different ways to get through it, and it's just as important to honor your own way of moving through that. How I move through grief isn't necessarily the way someone else will do it. If you are in that process of moving through some type of loss, take care of yourself, honor your process, and don't have other people tell you, oh, you should be over it, or oh, it was just a pet. Sometimes people don't think, myself included, when we say ridiculous things and forget that a situation or an experience is different for someone else. It's something I now try to be very aware of when I'm making videos. And as I'm going through my editing process, I'm asking myself, how is that going to come across to other people? And I know no matter what, there is going to come that time when I say something that offends someone. And for that, I am sorry. But I also do have my own opinions, my own experiences, my own research, and that's what my comments and opinions are based on. And even though it's 6 years, I still get up early on that first day and I'm still thinking about, oh, this is what I would have been doing in the past. The idea of my channel was to spread the joy and love of reading, how books and stories and information connect into our everyday life. Whether you're reading old school like me with a book in hand, audiobook, ebook, it doesn't matter. It's still reading and it's still learning. And learning is a lifelong process. There's always something new that's been discovered to research and understand. There's something out there that will make your heart sing, and you may find it in your next read. And if you're still here, thank you so much for your time. The excitement of when someone watches one of my videos, I get a like or I get a comment. The fact that I have a few subscribers who have been returning, who enjoy the content, who have found it of benefit, makes it all worthwhile for me. And I don't know whether this will ever turn into an income, whether I'll ever even get to 1,000 subscribers. Watching my yard change over the last several years, nature has brought me new plants. I wish it would include a tag so I know what it is, but it's always exciting to see that plant grow and find out what it is, whether it has flowers or not. So at this point, I really can say I am living the dream. Are there some things that could be going better? Absolutely. But on the other hand, I wake up each morning, I'm excited about the day, there's new adventures and things to discover and learn. So along with the human supports, my fur babies, there were also books that helped me along the way. One in particular is Burning Bright, and this is by Kelsey J. Patel. And it says rituals, Reiki, and self-care to heal burnout, anxiety, and stress. This book made a huge difference for me. I found it after we had lost Shadow. It has some wonderful suggestions if you're currently dealing, whether it's with grief or you have anxiety and stress. This is definitely an excellent read with some helpful exercises and tips. As always, I suggest that people first check their local library and see if it's something that fits for you. You can also find this book on Goodreads. Another book that I had, which was beneficial, is Your Quantum Breakthrough Code, the simple technique that brings everlasting joy and success, and that's by Sandra Ann Taylor. This book goes through some exercises that you can do, and there are some simple hand gestures to help. The majority of the book is about being mindful of what you're asking for and getting the right perspective. So I did try this for a little bit and I did find it helpful. But then I got caught up in, am I using the right words? Am I asking for the right thing? The next 4 books I really need to get working on. Read them, try the exercises. If you've read or used any of these, please let me know in the comments down below. The Inner Me, a journal to connect with yourself and discover what brings you true happiness. Although I'll write in my other books and make highlights and notes and summaries and things all around the margins, when it comes to a book like this, I usually start a different notebook. There's plenty of space to make entries and notes. On this one, we have what traits have you inherited from your parents? What 3 talents do you wish you had? There's quotes down in the bottom. I'm looking through it because there are different entries that I'll make over time, and I don't want to be swayed by my previous entry, so this book will likely stay blank. 21 Rituals to Change Your Life. This is by Teresa Chiang. The act of ritual is a thread that links humanity regardless of ethnicity, culture, or religion. Creating personal rituals in our lives allows us to bring the presence of the sacred into the everyday, helping us to feel grounded in the present, let go of the past, and fully embrace the future. For some people, ritual may freak them out because of the word. I think of it more as something you do regularly. So whether that's going for a walk and just clearing your mind, for me, it could be going out on my deck and having my morning coffee and making note of nature. Which birds am I seeing? Which animals am I seeing? What does the sky look like? There's lots of ways to incorporate things into your everyday life that brings you that bit of peace and that joy. Our daily actions, the things we do repeatedly, are the key to making meaningful change. Using the simple rituals in this book, you will learn how to introduce change into your daily routine, and I've mentioned in other videos, when I'm reading this type of information, I'm looking for something that I can do and incorporate into my life. So for myself, I notice if I'm not getting outside into my yard, whether that's having my morning coffee or outside doing yard work or just getting outside to walk for the exercise, I definitely notice a change in my mood and my perspective. When I get back outside, which is why I call my yard work earthing, when I'm outside, I'm connected to the earth, I'm connected to the plants, and I'm paying attention, my whole perspective and everything changes for the better. It will be different for other people, so you need to find what works best for you. And books like this are great because they come up with a lot of different ideas and suggestions. Not all of them are going to fit. So the thing is, read through it and find what makes sense for you. Maybe there's things there that you're like, that's not going to work. Give some of them a try and you might find a pleasant surprise. 3-Minute Positivity Workbook, and this is by Susan Reynolds. Transform your life by changing your thoughts in just a few minutes a day with the 3-Minute Positivity Workbook. Retrain your brain to focus on positivity and reframe your emotions. Using neuroscience and psychology-based techniques, this accessible workbook will guide you in exploring negative thoughts and practicing positivity. Each writing prompt or activity is designed to take only 3 minutes. Everyone can find 3 minutes to do something to make you feel better. I know in these times, a lot of people are always saying, I'm too busy, I can't do this, I can't do that. Key thing to remember is if you're not taking care of yourself, how can you take care of other people? That was a big thing as I was taking care of our 2 little girls with cancer. But through that time, I was also trying to learn more about my own situation and condition, so we were all kind of taking care of each other. 369 Laws of Attraction Guided Workbook, inspired by the mathematical theories of Nikola Tesla. Discover your inner power to make your life anything you can imagine. Inside, it tells us how to use this book. Change doesn't happen overnight. We provide 100 templates for your manifestation journey. By committing to manifesting 100 times, you'll experience the benefits of continuous growth and change. You can start your manifestation at any time. This workbook is designed to be customized to fit with a schedule that will guarantee your success. Do what you can when you can. Along with your manifestation statements, will remind you of the steps you need to take to reach your dreams and offer reflections to help you get there. There's some pages where you can do writing. And I don't know, maybe I will write in this one and see how it goes as you're moving forward. Each of these books talks about the importance of journaling, I saw as I was flipping through. And part of the reasoning behind that is to see your own growth and progress, because you'll notice through your entries, whether it's through the length of them, the language you're using, the decisions and choices that you made, it's the best way to see how things are changing for you and how you're moving along and where you still need to make some tweaks and fine tuning. And there will always be tweaks and fine tuning because we never get to, oh, I'm finished with that. We're always learning and growing and changing, and that's a good thing. There are many different ways to journal. Some people would prefer to do it on a technology device. You can type out your responses, you can dictate your responses, or you can do it old school using pens and paper or pencils the way I do. I have a few different journals. Don't forget to be awesome today. What I record in here is what I call my Life is Great Because journal. I started doing this after my back injury. At that time, I'd read Steering by Starlight by Martha Beck, and I was working through The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And I came up with this idea, and again, it's switching your thinking, but I knew I had to change my thinking, and I had to stop thinking about myself as useless and broken and not worthwhile and turn that around. At that time, we had just taken Cedric in shortly before my injury. Yes, you may be noticing the universe likes to pile things on at one time. She'd had 5 kittens. We found homes for 3, thank goodness, and we kept Ghost and Xena. So there was a whole lot going on. When I started my Life is Great Because journal, I had 2 entries. Life is great because I got out of bed, I got dressed. As I progressed and focused on other things, my list became longer. Things don't change overnight. So be kind to yourself and appreciate it's going to take time to get on the other side of that. I now do 2 pages. Whatever you put there is going to be different for everyone because different things motivate and are important to different people. So put down what matters to you. Put it as though it's already happened. So you're putting it in the present tense. So not I wish I had or I'd like to. You put down I have. I am. You could say I am a source of positive light. I am a happy person. And believe what you're writing. So make what you're putting down attainable and achievable and realistic. The idea of this is to get you thinking about what you want your life to look like, working towards that positive goal. I can tell you from experience, I've put down things that I honestly didn't foresee happening. I was hoping and I put it out there as yes, this would be great. It took a couple of years, but when I was doing this regularly, it came to fruition. Some people use vision boards. I have a vision binder. I bought a sketchbook, so it was just a plain cover. Then what I did was find a picture that I loved, and of course it has the moon. I found some celestial duct tape, and I'm a big fan of glow in the dark. What I do in here is I just write down my goals, I date it, and then I go back and see whether I've reached that goal or not. modify it if it's something I'm no longer interested in, or maybe there was a different way I found of reaching that. That's one way to do vision board goal setting. When I'm looking for a journal, along with some inspirational words, I also look for journals with pictures. So this particular one has stars with the constellations drawn out, trees, so it's a beautiful scene from out in the country. There are no words to express how much I miss living in the country and being able to see the night sky. Here in the city, sadly, there's just so much light pollution. It's ridiculous and gets worse every year. And John Paul, if you're watching this, you are so lucky, and I love hearing about the night sky that you're able to enjoy. This is a calendar. It's called Living Your Daydream. I love that you can color on it. You can color the pages and the dates aren't filled in. You can start this calendar anytime, and then there's entries for the individual days. So finding something like that is also helpful. You could easily incorporate this into the 3-minute positivity or any of the other exercises and just make note of the day that you did them. And then at the end of the month, look back and see at all the amazing things that you were able to accomplish that month. This is a journal that I use when I'm using my oracle cards or my animal cards. So I'll have a question, I need some guidance, and I make entries here. And then what I'll do is weeks or even a month later, then I look back. The other nice thing is that journals come in many different sizes and formats. I just found a set of these at Costco. They come in different colors. It has a handy elastic so you can easily mark the pages where you're working, and they're lined. So there's so many different ways to journal and do things. You can either keep them plain. You can do like I did just by adding some duct tape and glow in the dark stickers. Let me know in the comments down below, do you journal? If you're still with me, thank you so much for your time. I hope that some of these ideas and suggestions can help you. If you're finding this of value or of benefit, please be sure to give that like button a little tickle. If you are interested in a variety of things, make sure you give Ghost a little tickle to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you know when I upload content that may be of interest to you. The final thing that I want to talk about, because there wasn't just one way to work through my burnout, my grief, and physical exhaustion, it was a whole combination of things. One was finding books about positivity, doing some different exercises. Another thing of benefit was the different journaling, connecting with people, and reading different books. If you've seen my video, My Life with Books, which currently just has a part 1, I need to do a part 2, and I'll leave a link to that. Throughout my life, books have always been a big part, whether it was reading for my own enjoyment or knowledge or information, or moving on to become an educational assistant and helping others learn to read and enjoy books. I read a wide range of information. One, because I enjoy a variety of things, and two, just like humans, I find everything manages to connect together. Reiki for Life, and this is by Penelope Quest, the complete guide to Reiki practice for levels 1, 2, and 3. Her book is based on the Yasui method, which is what my training is. And I've completed all 3 levels of Reiki, so I have my master teacher level. Basically, I do Reiki for my family, my husband, and my fur babies. She has a lot of good information, so if it's something you're curious about, be sure to check her out. Energy Medicine by Donna Eden is another book that I found very helpful. There's a foreword by Carolyn Miss, who I've recently mentioned in one of my book haul videos. I enjoyed reading this book. She talks about the chakras, the meridians. There are handy photographs to let you know about the areas. And I have a number of pages that are dog-eared because there are a system of exercises that are specific to what I need to work on. I used to have this book on my nightstand because I would do the exercises in the morning, and it's something that I have to go back to doing. Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman. I recently mentioned The Four Purposes of Life, also by Dan Millman. Way of the Peaceful Warrior is different from The Alchemist or The Celestine Prophecy, which are parables. The Way of the Peaceful Warrior is Dan, who meets an individual he calls Socrates. And Socrates is basically a mentor and teaches him about being mindful and perspective, where you focus your energy, what you decide to put your time and energy into. I just read this again, I think it was last week, and I had read it a number of years ago. Both times I enjoyed the book. I agree, it's a book that changes lives. It gets you thinking and focused on what is my perspective? Where am I putting my time and energy? And now I find, especially since reading it again, if I'm getting into that stinking thinking or something's happened and I'm stuck in a loop, reminding myself, you're stuck in a loop, you're stuck in the stinking thinking. Let's try and focus on something that's going right. Let's keep looking at what's going right and stay focused there. And the more that you do that, or the more that I do that, more and more is going right. It doesn't mean that there aren't blips, and it doesn't mean that the universe may not decide to throw us another curveball. The Magic of Believing, and this is by Claude M. Bristol. It also includes the special bonus book, TNT, It Rocks the Earth. I picked up this book, for those who will remember, because of a woman named Phyllis Diller, a comedian who stuck with it, followed her beliefs, and broke into a job area that at that time was mostly men. And I figured if it worked for her and she was able to reach her goals and stick with it in a very challenging industry, then maybe there was something to this book that could likewise help me and keep me on track. The Magic of Believing is probably one of those first law of attraction books, and no doubt it will surprise people that it was published in 1948, long before anyone had ever heard of Louise Hay or Hay House Publishing, long before Esther and Jerry Hicks and Abraham, which Esther channels. This was one of the earlier books about your thoughts and your choices get you to where you're going. Where you're focusing your time, energy, and your thoughts is where your life is going to move and how you perceive the world around you. So, for example, if you're looking at what's going right and things that are falling into place, that's what you're going to keep seeing. So it very much comes down to your focus. What are you paying attention to? What is your mindset? And where is your time and energy going? There are a number of excellent examples throughout this book. On the back cover, as if by magic, some people know how to make wishes come true. In this classic exploration of mental visualization and autosuggestion, journalist and businessman Claude M. Bristol discloses the secret of turning belief into success. Bristol learned early in life that if he clearly visualized his goals and strongly believed in them, he would attain them. The Magic of Believing changed my life. Read it, and any problem can be solved, happiness can be achieved, great rewards can be reaped. That's by Phyllis Diller. Other books that I look for, and I'm mentioning The Green Witch, and this is by Erin Murphy Hiscock. Your complete guide to the natural magic of herbs, flowers, essential oils, and more. Now, I've just recently read this book. There are a number of great aromatherapy ideas she has, different things that I can incorporate into my everyday life, some exercises, information about spices and gardening. And I have a number of other books just like this, things that I could do every day. They were easy to do. I didn't have to go out and buy all kinds of special equipment. What I like to find are books with information that I can easily incorporate into my everyday life that will just give me a bit of a perk or get me into that positive thinking. The last book that I'll be talking about today, The Subtle Body Coloring Book, and this is by Cindy Dale, and it's illustrated by Richard Werman. I very much enjoyed this book, and it was a great find. I have another book by Cindy Dale on working with the chakras. It's another book still waiting on my to be read list, but I enjoyed her writing style. I have some books that I color in just for fun to chill and unwind, and I have books like this one for learning. She goes through the chakra system, the meridians. She also covers reflexology points. There's a page with all the chakras. And no, I haven't colored in this book yet. But what I did do is get a piece of onion skin paper and I made my own copies, and then I'll transfer those on to something else and color them in. I may eventually color in this book. My training for reflexology was the feet. This correlates to the points. Even though I made the decision to close my business in December 2021, I still do reflexology for myself, and this is a handy reminder of the different points. So I enjoyed this type of book because not only is it learning and a great review for different subjects, it's an activity that I enjoy doing, which is coloring. So it's a great way to learn, relax, and have some fun. If there are books that you have found to be of benefit or helpful when you're going through a difficult or challenging time, be sure to let me know in the comments down below, as I always appreciate finding out about new titles and new authors. And I'm very grateful that recently I've had 2 different suggestions from people, and I very much enjoyed them. So thank you so much for that. Until next time,